So we are no strangers to my next speaker. He has his video, along with Dr. Mort's videos, have gone viral, which tells us that the topics that they cover, anger elimination, divorce, separation, the pain, and mainly relationships, are affecting you because you're like watching our videos. So thank you for watching our videos and giving such high ratings to Dr. Mort and to Richard for their videos. So Richard, today I am so delighted to have you. Time does sweep, and making the most of life is so important. And I have learned a lot from Richard, a lot about living and enjoying life and emotional intelligence. So over to you, Richard. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Elizabeth. So I'll mention the keywords again for the videos because it's emotional, obviously emotional intelligence, five love languages, and code breaker technologies. When we talk about the emotional intelligence, often and communication is a big part of it, is all of it in any relationship, new relationships, or any time during the our journey in that. My second marriage around, we did the five love languages right off the bat, and that helped us really understand a little bit of each other because the simple aspect of the time, touch, words of affirmation, gifts of service seems simple because and I've heard people say, well, we were just completely different partners. Somebody said, but you understand what does each of them has their own meaning. What does time mean for you in the sense of what time you're spending at a time? How do you spend interesting time together or boring time together? What does that actually mean? And are you going back in this new relationship? Are you going to, over time, you're going to go back to your old habits? Because obviously relationships are very spurring and very inspiring, but again, in time, like I said, you go back into what you did before unless there's some sort of stimulus. So understanding what time, drawing that up. What does time actually mean for each other? What does touch mean? Does touch mean a slap on the shoulder or a slap on the butt, or is it a touch of comfort? And how do we actually engage with each other in the sense of our own physical touch and daily activities? What do words of affirmation mean? What is your language? Is it, hey babe, how's it going? Or hey dude, or is it words of comfort? Is it words of support? Because language is obviously our biggest, drawback because there's all kinds of triggers, even in the sense of the nuances of how we speak to each other, our tonality. Are we speaking in kindness or are we speaking in contempt? Because well, don't bother me with that stuff. I can't be bothered because again, and I'll explain more how that works. What does gifts mean to you? So I've heard so many guys say that they bring flowers home, and those gifts to their previous generation of what they grew up with. Well, that means you apologize or something. What did you do wrong? I've had guys accuse me of having an affair because they brought flowers home, which they hadn't done before. And what do acts of service mean? How do you help each other in a sense of household duties? So many of us grew up where, the did all the cooking, the man did the work. But, in my own relationship now, in the second time around, there's a lot of things we do together. We go out shopping together. We cook food together with things like that. So, I do the dishes. It's little things like that, how we support each other. So in that, and so it's important to understand what each one means. And in there, there's negotiations and what that means, or can I help it? So if somebody's working overtime, then can the other person pick up, what they need to do? Go out and get some food or do simple things. And again, the words of affirmation, words of connection, words of support, how we greet each other day in, day out. And I want to bring in another part of that because it really adds to the emotional intelligence is code breaker technology. Sherry Tree was the founder of this, understanding, why people buy, but truly just became down to an incredible personality test. When we understand our sense of values from a nurturing type person, to what the nurturing values are, to the knowledge person, the person who does all the research and what the values are there, to the action person, to what the values are there, to the blueprint. Each one has their own specifics, but when you really break these down, they're very important in the sense of how we connect, the language we connect with, and where the other person's language we're missing, and where the other person goes or we go in our stress code. Because these values all the likes and dislikes, the simplicity of it is it helps us understand each other. It helps us, and what I think is a more faster way to some of the emotional intelligence when we really understand these values and what we need to say sometimes to the other person or friends around us. Because oftentimes we only speak in one language. Nurturing speak in nurturing language. Blueprints, who are systems oriented, are speak in their language. So we understand the other person. We can start adding that language in because it's in our authentic way of connection. We all strive to connect. We all strive to be heard. We all strive to be understood. When we understand ourselves and we can help the other person understand us better and make those important connections, all that leads into more flow of our life. And again, we can do all the training we want, we can do all the testing, but all this requires real world testing. Relationships take relationships to help understand each other, and it takes two people to commit to this understanding. And those of you around, or even in your workplace, helps you understand when you understand maybe some of the people's love languages work in a sense of respectfully, not sending gifts, but also where Codebreaker comes in, it helps me give people a foundation. When I get somebody's code, understand what their code is, I can help them understand how they see the world, how they communicate, what they do, where they go to stress, and how they are affecting people around them. Because some people can appear really snidely or snotty, and just what, maybe they're just the knowledge people. They're thinking about things. They don't necessarily have the necessary time to really ground themselves, because they have all these details in their head. And blueprints are your rule people. They're your policemen. They're your thing. So there's structures, and understanding that. Then the action people look like they're flashy and careless, but they're not. And nurturing people are naturally givers, naturally caregivers, and often they get caught giving themselves away trying to be too helpful. But you understand that about yourself and your partners, you realize where they are in their process and where you can meet them. So two simple things: 5 love languages and Codebreaker technology. And I'm all about emotional regulation. I teach people physical tools for regulation, from the EFT to other grounding techniques to help your body regulate. Because to me, it's like an athlete has a go-to. When they feel stressed, you can do this. You can teach this to your children. You can teach this to any children. Physical regulation really helps us come back down to the ground of helping our nervous system calm down, like a dog, who we pet, or the dogs come to us. That helps us calm down. So thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'll leave my contact and information in chat, and I appreciate the opportunity to connect with more people. Thank you.